I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
How was everyone doing out there? NXT, the after show is live right now. My name is Flobo Boyce. I'm broadcasting live from the What's Up Flobo studios in Culver City, California. Today's episode is a little bit different. We're going to go through all the recaps, all the packages and all that. But before we do, gotta introduce the all-star panel. First, she is, I gotta say this because I say it every single time, it's part of her contract, the Emmy-nominated Emily May.
Hey! Hi, everyone.
Where are you broadcasting from today?
I'm broadcasting from the city of all the studios, Burbank, California.
Okay. I thought it would be Studio City, but it wasn't. Okay.
No.
Also in the room, this guy right here had the most controversial opinions on the Monday Night Raw after show this week, and he's still alive to talk about it. Give it up for Jim Alexander.
Hey, not my fault. I'm speaking facts and not anyone else is informed. Those nerds at home.
Yes, everyone is done but you. Okay, let's talk about this.
Ask Lana what she thinks.
You know what's funny? The best thing part about doing these shows is that we don't have that Lana drop handy, which is great.
I got it here.
Oh no, we're gonna mute you.
Before we even get into today's episode, top story today, Wrestlemania is now going to be broadcast over 2 days with Rob Gronkowski, Gronk himself being the host. Just overall thoughts about that. I'm starting with you, Jim, because I know you had a lot of heated opinions about Wrestlemania.
I mean, listen, I'm still completely against this WrestleMania happening. I just think it's a bad idea all around. Although the 2 nights, you know, is still better than one because, first of all, you can't even fit that many people in a building. So they're forced to technically do that. And no one's going to sit around to watch an empty building for, 6 hours or whatnot. So they had no choice but to go for 2 days. I mean, to spread it out and at least get some more engagement potentially. I don't know how Gronk's going to host it. He's going to be just ringside the whole time.
Probably.
Or backstage. I mean, whatever that is. But, I mean, it's fine. It's fine to do the 2 nights. I mean, it's the only way they could do it.
Emily May, thoughts about the 2-night WrestleMania? Wrestle Kingdom style, I guess.
I know, it is Wrestle Kingdom style. I think everyone the last few weeks with everything going on in the world, we need some entertainment. We need some lightheartedness. And I think splitting it into 2 days, I think is going to be fun. I think it's going to help make people think outside the box. It's going to kind of change what they're going to do initially. And I think we all need to, enjoy this time and be together. And so I think it's great that they're doing 2 nights and they're still at least doing something, because I think for the fans, they need something. So, and they want something.
Yeah, also for the NXT side, there's no more TakeOver Tampa, which was a question I had about what titles would be defended there. It's now moot. With the NXT Women's Championship still being defended on either night 1 or night 2 of the event. I guess that makes sense. I'm excited. It's kind of awkward that the press release was like the event was too big to be in one night. But it's going to be an experience for all of us. It's moving on, whether reservations or not. And like you were saying, Emily, I'm all about just having that escapism. It's a lot of things to think about. I sit at home all day. I try not to eat all my ration food and not get fat. So it's cool to have some sort of
you can't eat all the cookies in one night.
I have M&Ms, man.
Okay, M&Ms.
So let's talk about the way the show started. All recaps, not one original match tonight, so it's all good. We started with the Gargano Thomasso Ciampa story, and it was a story indeed. They went all the way back to training 1, and we saw how they got together and then how they got apart. And to me, it was pretty cool. I'm going to reserve my thoughts up front. Jim Alexander, let me ask you this: the whole Johnny Gargano Thomasso Ciampa thing. I know you're not a fan of Gargano, but what about the presentation tonight?
It was great. I mean, that's the one thing that these guys can do. I mean, I still think Ciampa's a way better wrestler than Gargano all around. But when both of them are together, they just work great. I mean, they can tell a great story, that's for sure. Even though Gargano can't talk great, but when he's with Ciampa, they bring the best out of each other. And it's a long built feud over the years. I mean, it's something like we had an hour promo for this. And rightfully so, because it's one thing we can say, it's one of the better produced long-term feuds. I think it might be the end of it. I think it should be whenever they finally battle, but there's a lot of history between those 2 guys. And I thought it was just really well packaged and done.
I agree. Emily, may take it something what Jim just said about the storytelling here. NXT has this thing where maybe even better than the other rosters, because we can't call them main roster anymore because NXT is the third brand, right?
Yeah.
About the long-term storytelling between Thomasso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. I mean, this whole thing's been going on for what, 4 or 5 years in the making, and there was enough story there to make an entire package about it. Thoughts about the package build and the evolution, I guess, of both Ciampa and Gargano?
Well, I'm actually, Jim makes a really good point. I actually agree that like this tonight, I actually loved seeing the feud from the beginning, seeing their kind of beginning, planting the seeds of this rivalry and just this relationship and how it's evolved. And I think it's a good reminder to see like, oh, they started training together. They go way back before any of this started. And so I think it was a nice reminder, and the package was beautifully done. It was intense, it was emotional. You could see that both guys are struggling internally and emotionally and mentally over the years because of their physical injuries, their just struggles of like defeat and being rejected the first time. And so there's a lot of emotional roller coasters presented in this package, and I think it was beautifully done. And I think, because things are shifting and things might not happen the way that we wanted at WrestleMania or a takeover, this was a good kind of package to see that, hey, things are, storytelling can still happen even though you don't have a match.
Hot take. I actually like them better as DIY. I think together they made a lot more sense for me. I mean, Gargano is cool. I mean, he's all right. Ciampa is okay. He's even better than Gargano. I will agree with that, Jim. But to me, DIY was something special. And they were right. Some of the best matches ever on that brand, Jim, was, DIY against Revival or the AOP or all those guys. I mean, what do you think?
No question. I mean, I saw the one where Ciampa turned on Gargano in Chicago at that takeover. One of the best tag team matches I've seen ever. So, I mean, when these guys, like I said, they just work perfectly together. They came in together. That story didn't lie. I mean, I thought it was a lot of truth in it and genuine stuff that they plucked away in this package, how these two guys came in together and worked together from day one. And it showed, and it's just, what's the end game? That's my question. At what point, I mean, you're just turning on each other. One's one-time heel, now Gargano. Like, I'm seeing this be redone. Like, we've had 2 turns now as Gargano turning on Ciampa as a heel, and we've had the opposite too. At some point, it's got to be a culmination, like the final one. I'm okay with the next one being the blow off of it all, but like I said, these two, I don't know what you do singles wise, because we've seen them try singles. I think that's why I've said Ciampa is so much better off as a singles guy. He's got a better look. He's better on the mic. He can carry feuds. Gargano's lost as a singles guy, as we've seen. It's just tough for him to get over.
So you said this before that Gargano was a finished product a couple weeks ago. He's pretty much done. We've seen what he can do. Is Ciampa one? And if he's not, what's his next level, if there is one?
Ciampa's next level is, I mean, he's basically an Adam Cole situation.
Baby.
He can be NXT heavyweight champion, but that's kind of where Max is out, right? I mean, it's like, I don't know how he does on a main roster. He's got a little bit more character to him than Cole, I feel, and because he didn't have to surround himself with a group, but it's kind of a limit when it comes to him. But hey, at his peak, his ceiling is NXT champion. That's pretty good. That's a lot of things guys can't say on that roster.
That's true. Emily May, we talked about Thomasso Ciampa in the past and where he should go, and Gargano where they should go. Assuming this match, whenever it happens, whenever. Where does Ciampa go? Because it does feel like he can go in any different direction. Right? He could go to the mid-card, pull people over. He could put himself back in the title picture. Where do you see him personally?
I mean, personally, I think I see him at another title shot. I feel like he didn't get the reign that we all wanted and that he deserved. And so I think that he should go after, sky's the limit for him right now. And he's at the top of his game, and I can see it.
Okay, that's cool. I know there was a quick mention about the Cruiserweight Classic, and for some reason, that doesn't get the same amount of love as the Mae Young Classic does. Is that like a one-time thing, you think, Emily May, or do you think they should bring that back?
The Cruiserweight Classic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should bring Mae Young back too.
Well, yes, Mae Young, that's table stakes, but
yeah. I mean, that's obvious. But yeah, I mean, you kind of have 205, so you kind of have to weigh your options. Like, how many branches are you going to have?
Wow, Jim, Emily Mason said, "Man, a cruiserweight." Thoughts?
I have no thoughts on cruiserweights. I mean, their place is at 205 Live. That's their show, right? And whoever moves up for that is NXT. Like for me, Ciampa and especially Gargano are cruiserweights, right? I mean, that's where they kind of made their mark to begin with. So they're glorified cruiserweights, right?
Wow. So, but Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese are not.
I said it
right?
nicer than that.
I know.
Buddy Murphy, I mean, I think he can pull off. He's big enough to a point where I would question him being under 205. Like that's, some of those weights are off. I think Buddy Murphy is not 205. He's never been, so right. I think he slid into that division, but he's more of a NXT main roster kind of guy.
Okay.
But I think the thing about Ciampa and Gargano, they can be both. They're flexible to be NXT / cruiserweight guys. They're better glorified cruiserweight guys,
For sure. Final thought about this before we move on. Emily May, this promo tonight, this package lasted a whopping 75 minutes. If there was another rivalry, because I know you're like a wrestling freak as I am, right? The only I can think of that could even touch that as far as story is the Miz and Daniel Bryan. Is there any kind of rivalry that you would think that would get that kind of treatment on a package?
Oh my gosh. I have to think about that one.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm like 75-minute package. Like you really have to devote a lot to that.
But that's what I'm saying. Because I mean, like, look, man, we can sit here talking about feuds. Like, let's say the Fiend and Goldberg, right? They're main eventing WrestleMania, and that package would be like 2 minutes.
2 minutes, but because that's like a typical package you're gonna have. Right. But this is like 5+ years, and they're best friends, and we should see what the chat thinks.
Yeah, chat, what say you, man? I know WWE, I think even recently now has like this rotating thing where they will like not force, but they have like a little truncated feuds of 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and a lot of stories are just told and kind of discarded. If there's anyone you could think of on the roster that can reheat an old feud that can last forever, say for like Kane and Undertaker, like what do you guys think? Let us know in the chat. But moving on, before we get to our next video package, there is something I want to share with each and every single one of you. I know I'm at home. I've been at home day 3 here. So I want to share with you a hidden gem. I like to call it a lockdown watch list. For those of you who are fans of NXT or are just at home thinking what to watch on the network. For me, if you have some time, do yourself a favor and check out the October 27th, 2017 edition of NXT to show you how much good wrestling is being given away for free. The card was pretty stocked from top to bottom. Birch and Lorcan had a match against Riddick Moss. That's right, the current 24/7 champion Riddick Moss and Tino Zappatelli in a dope tag team match. There was actually a women's battle royal for a #1 contender for the women's championship, which I won't spoil for you there, but it definitely has a little bit of the showcase of the ladies, showing that even the women's division back then was pretty stacked. And our main event, which I know, Jim, you would love, was Andrade back when he was just like on fire going against the hard-hitting Roderick Strong. Not the Roderick Strong we see now, who is vanilla and the fourth guy in a stable. We're talking about like the classic Roderick Strong. So if you guys have the network, do yourself a favor, check out the October 27, 2017 edition of NXT for all of that content. Jim Alexander, quick question. Why do you hate Roderick Strong one more time? What's your beef with him? Like,
he's just you said it yourself, he's vanilla. He's got nothing going for him. He's not interesting. That's the thing. Like I said, all these guys can work, right? What separates you in NXT? Because everyone can put on a certain, well, we saw today with Ciampa and Gargano. One thing, I'm going to go back quickly to Gargano. That was one of the better promos he's ever cut, is just doing a studio interview, because he doesn't have to try and be fake and over the top and pretend to be a heel or whatnot. I thought this was the best version. You just let Gargano talk like a human. that was fine. But when it comes to Roderick Strong, you don't see who he is. Who is he as a person? Maybe I'll go back to 2017 and watch this whole thing. Probably not, but
you should. I researched it myself, damn it.
So Flobo, that the chat has spoken, and they're throwing out some names for this, like, you know, rivalry for the 75-minute package.
What are they saying?
Brock versus Roman.
Okay, that's a good one.
Charlotte versus Sasha.
Oh yeah, Charlotte can go with a lot of girls.
Yeah, and then Bailey versus Sasha.
Well, you know me, I'm a Bailey fan. I mean, I'll do anything. I'll watch anything with Bailey in it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, I blanked out. So thank you, chat, for helping me.
That's what's up. That's the chat's the best chat wrestling chat on the planet, man. And thank you for rocking with us on a very light episode of NXT. And I know the Wednesday night AfterBuzz coverage rolls on. The AEW Dynamite After Show is right after this, right here on this network. Let's talk about Finn Balor. I want to say this right now. Finn Balor is the best wrestler, maybe not in the world, but definitely in the WWE umbrella. I guess that makes him part of the conversation. He gets the package treatment, talking about how he went from NXT to the main roster, quote unquote, back when there was the main roster, to electing to go back to NXT. Emily May, walk me through this. His overall thoughts about the Prince and what it means for him now in his career.
I mean, I feel like Finn Balor has been a staple of NXT and WWE for such a long time, and he's proven himself time and time again that he is one of the best wrestlers in the company. And he keeps saying in the world, and I kind of believe it.
Yeah, sure. Jim Alexander, I'm not sure where you stand on Finn. Are you a Finn or Prince guy or no? I forget.
Yeah, I do. I just think he's been just kind of underused, and it's like I always put 3 guys in a similar category, actually 4 to 5 guys: Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, my boy Baron Corbin,
oh my gosh,
Elias,
okay,
especially, and well, Dolph Ziggler was in the past. Those are guys that could be top of the card kind of guys that just haven't been utilized. Now we see it with Drew McIntyre.
I agree with you.
There's potential. Same thing with Finn Balor. I mean, this guy was the first Universal Champion, right? And that injury, and he's never touched even the level of that after that injury. So they had faith in him originally that he could do this, right? That he's capable of putting on promos. He's got a great character. He's interesting, right? An awesome entrance. The guy's got a lot of charisma and personality and flair in the ring. But it's on them, the WWE, that dropped the ball on him for all these years. And he's become middle of the pack. He's become kind of watered down, not because of him, because of the stories that he's been put in and the script writing for him.
There's a question I have to get. You mentioned that he was the first Universal Champion. How would the landscape would have been changed or different had he maintained that championship? Because he was right. Once he took the injury, the whole landscape did change.
It completely changed. Yeah.
You wouldn't have seen Seth Rollins at the top.
So?
Because he would have been a longer-term champion. I'd say they'd do a half-year run with him probably as the first Universal champion. Just drop it within a month or two. So the whole rub that Seth Rollins got wasn't due thanks to Finn Balor getting injured, just the same way that Kofi got the rub from Ali. You know, injuries happen. And some guys, the problem I have is that these guys never get that pushback again when they come back from their injury. So Ali and Finn Balor have a huge gripe that they can go with, that these guys could have been basically torchbearers, you know, and been at a whole nother level by now, but injuries and the lack of faith in them for whatever reason going forward has stopped them from doing that. So I think Finn Balor had really gotten screwed by injury big time. To the point where he could have been a major star, and he's not right now.
Emily May, I mean, Finn Balor said himself that he had the best. He made these guys have the best matches of their career, right?
I mean, I it's so hard because he was Universal Champion and had to rescind it right away due to his injury, and so he didn't really get that full climb of what a champion experience is, and so he had to kind of rebuild after 9 months to a year. Like he had to rebuild a whole character arc, like and his rivalries and finding your groove again is really difficult. And so finding your place after that type of a gap is really hard. And so I think he's right when he says that he elevates everyone else that he's around. And so when he's in a match with someone, he's going to make them look good, and he's going to help push them to be the best that they can be. And in working that way, he makes himself look like the best wrestler in the company.
Question for both of you. Is Finn Balor the best NXT champion of all time? And if not, who? Who?
I'd say for me, KO.
Whoa, I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, I think he is NXT. I mean, he's the definition of NXT in a way because he's a guy that was hated by mainstream. He's an indie guy, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's Virgin Alexander.
He could have never been in NXT even because that's even too big for him in that sense. I think when he came in with so much, backlash, even, people talking about, Kevin Steen can't make it and all this, and he proved everyone wrong. I thought he was a unique NXT champion in that sense. He was the first real indie guy that went over big time, and that's thrived on the main roster. So I'd go with Kevin Owens, but definitely Finn Balor's top 3.
Is May?
I'm going with Finn Balor.
Yeah.
I'm going to just stick with my guy.
I am a big Finn Balor mark, and I always feel like there's been 2 divides with his career: the Japan stuff, the Neverweight Open Championship, and the Bullet Club, and then there's always been the main roster WWE stuff. And finally, I think this new version of the Prince is going to bridge the gap with them. They actually showed some footage at TakeOver Portland. I guess the only wrestling stuff happening on today's episode about how he pretty much dominated Gargano, which tells me that NXT does have faith in him to at least not be in the title picture, to at least be a credible threat. If you're Finn Balor, I mean, he currently has a program with Walter, so let's talk about that. But where would you put him after that, Emily?
I mean, I think he's gonna, I think matching with Walter is the best thing he could do right now. And I think he's gonna win, but I think he needs to, I don't know. I actually don't know where he's gonna go after this. Cause where else? Cause he moved down to NXT, and then he's going to NXT UK and, battling there. And so it's like, where else is he gonna go? And what makes sense for him? Because yes, he's kind of rebranded and reshifted his ideology as the Prince, but I don't know, if he's not a fit on Raw and SmackDown, I'm not sure where he is gonna go.
I know where he's gonna go. I know what needs to happen. It's simple. He takes out Walter and beats him like he should, and makes sure to see the kind of the David versus Goliath thing, and then he takes the NXT title and he's a dual champion. That gives him credibility and legitimacy as the top guy that they failed. This is the way. This is a Drew McIntyre way of making things right, where they were teasing Drew McIntyre, couldn't get that chance, and now you're gonna build him as Prince. You're going to have him beat Walter and be claimed to be the first time dual champion of NXT and NXT UK, all NXT champ. That gives them a major star credibility. Better so than anyone else that could have a title, that could carry, that could make this would elevate the titles and him to the next level. That's what you do.
I was thinking about making Dream a transitional champion and having Balor win it from him, but I like your idea way better.
I like that too. I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool. Cannot have the championship, but way too much. He's a mid-carder guy that's really, I think, with his run has really dampened that title. I really think with his little group, with his run, it's been the most underwhelming NXT championship run in a long time.
I think if you look at the entire thing, maybe, but you can't deny the workhorse effort he put in October with the Saudi show and Survivor Series being that guy. So I mean, I'll give him credit for that. I won't poo-poo on that.
Like I said, they're all workers. Everyone in NXT puts in the work and time. I don't think anyone's lazy on that roster. You can fault anyone for not being, a company person. No question.
Sure. Before we move on to our last promo of the night, just want to remind you, thank you for making us the ESPN TV Talk. If you have time, like, comment, subscribe to the show and podcast, and share with all your friends on social media. And if you're on iTunes, Spotify, give us 5 stars. Greatly appreciated, especially now during the time we're looking for entertainment any way we can get it. So yeah, all of us here at the NXT crew, thank you so much. Okay. NXT Women's Championship, Charlotte the Queen, one of the best wrestlers of all time in her division, if not all in the world, taking on Rhea Ripley, someone very, very young, but has rocketed up to the top. Emily May, I'm starting with you, our women's wrestling expert. This match right here could have stolen the show at a traditional WrestleMania. We're not sure where it's going to land on the new modified WrestleMania. Thoughts about this and Rhea Ripley's trajectory?
I mean, it's Rhea Ripley's story is incredible. Her journey, her transition. Like, I love this package tonight because you could see what she was doing when she first was in like the Mae Young Classic, and kind of her transition in like her branding and the story. Like, she came back the second year after the Mae Young Classic and completely transformed. And so kind of her whole brand was like, nope, I'm going to be different and totally above and beyond anyone else in the NXT roster in my time. And she's come such a long way in such a short amount of time. And so I'm so excited to see what she does at WrestleMania against Charlotte. I think it is going to be the match of the night.
Before I ask you, Jim, Evangeline in the chat says, can we have Jim react to Balor saying he gave bad wrestlers like Baron Corbin their best match? Snap!
Who are we responding to?
Evangelina.
I don't know who that is, so I don't need to respond to that.
Why are you burying our fans? Anyway, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, thoughts about that?
I mean, like I said, one of the best, aside from the Randy Orton Edge thing, I think that's been the best built booking for the feud. You know, women or men's match. I'd say it's top two next to Edge and Randy Orton. I think they built it perfectly. Both of them are over. Rhea Ripley, no denying, has star qualities, big time. You see certain things, you just know when certain people have it and the star quality, and I think she has it in a lot of ways. She's got a presence. I think those two mixing it up is going to be fantastic because you don't need Charlotte to carry her. I think Rhea Ripley can handle her own with Charlotte, unlike the other feud with Baszler where Becky's all over the place. You know, this is a well-done feud. I don't even think we need any promos anymore. It's sold already. It's been selling it for weeks. You know, you're buying this feud. You're buying them two squaring up together. And, you know, I think there's no question that Rhea wins this match and retains this title. So that's the way it's going.
Okay, in your summation, Rhea Ripley wins the match. Where does Charlotte Flair go from here? She's the most decorated superstar as far as the championship reigns. What's left for her to accomplish? A stable, a new brand? Like, what does Charlotte do for cement her legacy?
Well, it's tough when you rightfully so. She's arguably the best female wrestler ever, right? But when you push someone that quick, she got like what 10 title reigns, 9 or whatever.
Correct, 10.
Dozen, yeah. I mean, that's a lot for someone that hasn't been around that much. They kind of blew out the smoke, the firework too quick with her. She's went through so many of the wrestlers. She's defeated almost everyone. I think with Charlotte, you need to do something different, like completely different. Either a stable would be a good idea. I would really think, you don't know what's happening with Andrade, and WWE likes to play these angles. Why not put her with Andrade in an interesting team? I think it would elevate Andrade big time to get that rub from Charlotte. And I think it would give something new for Charlotte to do, and a new stable and you kind of fueled her, because whatever you do, you just kind of see Charlotte's the best. She just dominates everyone, you know, usually with title or no title, she's wrestled everyone. You need something different. When we see Charlotte in a different light, in a different form, I don't think you can achieve that with a character or gimmick. I think you just need to have her in a stable as a leader, or pair up with Andrade. You need something new with her.
So I have a theory. It might be crazy, but depending on how WrestleMania goes down, what if Charlotte takes Rhea Ripley under her wing?
Interesting. Like a tag team or a stable, or
yeah, kind of, or like I can't see a tag team, but something where maybe Rhea does still retain the title, but
why would Charlotte take her under her wing if she retains the title? Rhea's established enough at this point that she doesn't need help. That would be demeaning to her character, meaning that she needs help from Charlotte. Yeah, why
don't you think so?
She's the champion. Why would she need her help?
Why do you think so?
Because Charlotte's a 10-time champion, so
Rhea's a champion right now, so she doesn't
a first-time champion. So combining forces and making an even stronger,
Well,
thing.
forces versus under the wing is two different things.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm on Team Stable. I think if the stable starts with Charlotte and Ripley, I'd be on board, but I really think that's the last thing she could possibly do because she's on Raw, she's on SmackDown, possibly flirting with the NXT championship. It's the only title she hasn't gotten yet. But if you want Charlotte, who's as good as she is, but the fans feel like she's being forced down our throats, the best thing to do is use like a stable. And maybe a stable to combat the three that's considered the regular horsewomen or maybe the four of the MMA horsewomen. That'd be a cool gang warfare storyline, at least in my opinion. Yeah. I don't know.
Separate her from Becky. That's the number one thing they cannot go back to.
You just hate Becky Lynch. Just say, look, I'm a Becky Lynch hater, Jim. That's what you gotta say.
I mean, I'm just talking the facts about her. But, so, they've been...
Separate Charlotte from Becky Lynch?
Huh?
Separate Charlotte?
Yeah, in no question, they should not feud with each other or be in each other's path, even though they're on the same show. That's one thing you cannot do because it's just disservice for both of them.
Yikes. Emily, maybe before we get out of here, just overall thoughts about NXT and the direction they're going. I know that we don't really have any live matches to talk about this week, but I know with TakeOver Tampa being moved off the card, there will be some sort of story beats either discussed next week or going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to just kind of see where they're going. And the NXT, the whole team, they're great storytellers. They create great matches and lineups. And so I feel like we should still be excited, even though things are changing and things might not be exactly how we wanted last year. Meaning like we have full takeover and a full WrestleMania. I feel like we should still be appreciative that they're still doing a show and kind of creating moments for us to love.
Fantastic. We'll be right here back next week.
I don't get a final opinion?
You don't get a final opinion at all, Jim Alexander.
Why? I'm not playing that game.
Jim Alexander, where can the world find you online, good sir?
They know where to find me. Add the Real Talker on all social media, realtalker.com. And subscribe on the Real Talker YouTube page. I got some cool interviews up, and I've just interviewed the director of Bombshell, so it's cool stuff. So check it out on Real Talker's YouTube page and website. You
were slipping your opinion right there, but you didn't do that. I thought that you were going to slip it in.
Oh, my opinion is that tonight was the best. It was better than Raw and SmackDown. The package, it showed tonight that they can do a show with just really well-told packages and storylines. It's way more compelling than the stuff we saw on Monday and Friday night, which isn't compelling because it just feels weird and off and not authentic to the fan.
There. Emily May, where the world find you online?
All right. Well, you can find me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller. We just interviewed this past week. We interviewed Lita and Gail and Chrissy Hemme for Kayfabe, their new show, their new project they're working on Women's Wrestling Weekly. So catch it. It's on YouTube on AfterBuzz's Wrestling and Sports channel. So check it out.
Kim, booting on a week. Hey! It's your boy Flobo. Follow me on Twitter at FloboBoys, on Instagram at Flopito, and of course Flopito.com. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys stay safe, wash your hands, and be cool to yourself. Until next time, though, buzz you later.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.